Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS. It's time for Owin's Field Report, sponsored by Les Schwab Tire Centers.
Welcome back, everyone. We truly do appreciate your support. Anytime that you have an opportunity to support our sponsors, we would appreciate that. That's what keeps us here. Now, before we jump into the field report from this past week, let's talk to Bruce. Bruce is from Aurora. Hey, let me just get out of the way over there. I'm just kidding. Bruce from Aurora, he's got a live report from the Columbia. Bruce, you don't have to be too specific, but we'd love it if you were. What part of the Columbia are you actually on?
Oh, about halfway down to the beach.
Fair enough. That's good enough for most of us. It's somewhere in or above the dead zone. Bruce, how's it going? What are you seeing?
Oh, I'm seeing probably about 100 boats within sight, and probably about 3/4 of them are trolling the 360 deal. We're sitting on the hook, and we picked one up already this morning.
Have you seen many fish get caught?
Oh, yeah. I got one on right next to us right now, so pretty nice one.
Nice.
I've seen about 4 caught on the troll, and then I think we're about the only one so far got one on the hook.
Now, do you have a decent outgoing tide this morning to sit on the anchor and run wobblers for a little while, or what's it look like there for you, Bruce?
Yeah, it started rolling probably about an hour ago.
Oh, good. So you're going to have a decent tide throughout this morning. So you said about 100 boats. All right. How deep of water are you actually fishing in this morning, Bruce?
About 45 feet.
Yeah, you're right. I know exactly where he is. Based on what he's saying, everyone, there's some good opportunities. Doesn't matter if you're on the anchor. Just make sure, of course, you have tide. You got a little bit of flow to help you out with that. What's your plan, Bruce? When the tide does run out, are you guys going to be fishing that late? Are you gonna start trolling? Or what's your program?
Program's probably just going to sit here on the hook, and hopefully we'll be out of here before the tide changes.
Yeah, good point, right? It's only one fish. You just got to do the best you can and get a good one.
Yep. And hey, I wanted to say thanks for that tip on the power bait last week. I gave it a shot this morning, and bang.
Did you actually try that tip out?
Yeah, that's how I got that one. Yep.
Okay, I'm telling you right now, most people are like, dude, you're so full of it. I'll never forget. And Bruce, I don't mean to slow you down here, but it's an easy story. 100 years ago, we're right down the area that you're in, and we watched a boat just stacking them up. We couldn't figure out what the heck they were doing. And one of my best pieces of advice that I've always shared with everyone is have binos handy and use them. We actually saw what they were doing. They didn't expect us to figure it out. We didn't have any power bait, but we saw what they were doing, and it was an instantaneous thing when we got back out there. So it is a good tip. It will help. Bruce, thanks for your phone call, sir, and I hope things work out for you this morning and get your fish and get home before it gets too smoky and hot, but so you don't have to deal with trolling. Thanks again for your phone call.
Yep. Thanks, Owen.
You bet, sir. You take care. Yeah, I actually got a little bit of flack for that. Some folks were thinking, you're just making stuff up. Must not have watched the show long. I've only been here 15 years. You won't be around that long if you make stuff up. Anyway, so the first thing we're going to talk about for my field report from this week, grass. Okay, when you're talking about the dead zone, which is where I spend my time this time of year, it's just grass. Every report that I've gotten confirms the same thought that I had. It's just bad. It's been really, really bad when you're talking about the grass. Now, there's a lot of reasons for that. The last handful of days, well, the last week plus, we've had big tides, all right? On that outgoing tide, it's going to pull a lot of grass off the banks, the different rocks, wherever it might be, the areas that you're in, okay? Now, you add in triple-digit temperatures for 4 or 5 days, that really makes algae and grass and everything else in the water column grow. Then you get that heavy current coming out. It's going to rip it off, and it's going to be in the water column. It makes it very difficult to troll. If you look at the upcoming tides, all right, they're starting to flatten out. So the grass isn't going to be as bad as it's been this past week, which was relentless. I mean, to the point of where you're there for an hour, just pull it and get out. I mean, it's just horrible. Overall, the fishing in the last handful of days in the main stem of the Columbia, at least, not necessarily for buoy 10, we're going to get there in a second, very, very slow. Now, there's a lot of different theories out there that the kill nets are, getting in every other day or whatever the heck it is, and they're wiping them out. And you know what? That very well could be true. There's a reason why we call them kill nets. When something goes into a kill net, well, it dies. I mean, so they're not going to get a chance to go over the dam. We're going to show you fish counts in a second. But I don't think it's that. I don't think those fish are making their way upriver because the fishing in the buoy 10 area has also been very, very difficult. For some of the very best guides that we have, boats full of dudes, flashers going everywhere for a handful of bites. So this past week's been tough. Now that could have been tides, hot weather, warm water coming down. I mean, there's a number of different things that can contribute to that. Just, you know, again, it's the latter part of the middle of August. Things should only improve. But now if you look at these fish counts, you might go, is that true? This is where the conspiracy starts to come in. Again, everybody's worried about these kill nets being on the Columbia, and we should be. It's a travesty that they allow them to be out there. They should not be on the main stem. Thanks, Washington. I mean, it's just a terrible thing that they're still allowed in the main stem Columbia after all the concessions as a sport fishing fleet that we've had to pay. Yeah, it's very, very frustrating, and they're doing a good job, all right? But this is the Willamette. It's just in trouble by itself. But when you take a look at Bonneville, this is going to tell you the whole story, and it's not a great story, all right? Now, we need these fish to make it over the dam. It's just that simple, because if they don't, they're going to close the season down early, which there's speculation of that already. But when you have numbers like this that get down into the 500s, it's very, very concerning, all right? Now, again, lots of questions, lots of conspiracy theories. Oh, the kill nets are wiping them out. The dams aren't allowing it to happen. Yeah, there's a lot of things that come into play when you're talking about migration. They have been dumping some water up. Here come the excuses, all right? Let's get these out, right? Got to have them. Warm weather, dumping a lot of water, warm temperatures will slow down the migration of fish going over Bonneville, all right? Now, the worst part about that is when they're allowing kill nets in that zone 4 and 5 and the fish get stalled out, they get very easy to net, all right? So all we can hope for, right? I'm a duck hunter. I'm always the optimist, is that they just start to ramp up. Things might cool down a little bit with these temperatures dropping, and we see that migration like we just had 3 or 4 days ago. Now let's take a look at the 10-year average. It'll give you at least a rough idea. Steelhead numbers, though, I'm kind of excited about that. But take a look at the 10-year average. He's going to, every time I reach down there, he zooms in on it. So I'm not going to do it yet. All right, here we go. The red line is this year, blue line's last year, black line is the 10-year average. You can see where we were doing pretty darn good, a little ahead of schedule, and then all of a sudden a nosedive. Right now we're way below the 10-year, way below last year. Now again, if you pay attention to how this kind of works out, next couple of days, it's going to vault straight up. I'm going to say, well, you know what, I'm not. I'm just going to say that the potential is for these numbers to ramp back up quickly, and I know that's what I'm looking forward to, and I'm looking forward to getting back out there when I can actually fish and not wish I had a bottle of ranch dressing because there was so much grass. I'm sorry, that was a dumb one, but it's been tough overall. So this does not help, obviously, everyone. All right, let's go ahead and make sure you're aware that each week we do a ProCure giveaway. This past week, the winner was Dan Scott. Dan Scott was the winner last week. So for those that are wondering, does this actually happen? Yes. And Dan won last week. It's easy for you to win too. Just got to get lucky. Got to send Jason at ProCure an email and tell him that you want to win. And you might have a chance to win that weekly drawing for a prize pack that will help you catch more fish going forward, especially in these conditions. Because if I'm out there now, it's super baits and spin fish and the other options, of course, that you have, but they're going to be stuffed with something, and that's a great way to do it. Let's go ahead, though, and check in with Drew Reeves. We haven't had a chance to check in with Drew for quite a while. Drew, how have you been?
Doing great. I know it's been a while since I've been on here. I think early this year was the last time. So
I know
it's fun to be back. Feels like I'm back home here.
Well, I love that. I love that. What can we look forward to? I know things are getting a bit interesting.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've got wildfire smoke that's making its way into the Portland area today, and it will make the weekend not so great. And right now, it's awesome. 60 degrees. This is our Shriners Children's camera, and we've got clear blue sky out there, lots of sunshine. But here's a look at the smoke that's making its way in. So parts of northeastern Oregon are already starting to see it, and as we head towards this afternoon, it's going to move into the Portland area. This is a look at maybe 4 o'clock or so. I think early on lunchtime we'll start to notice the haze a little bit more, and then smoke going into this evening. But really through the gorge and northeastern Oregon, we're going to see a lot of that wildfire smoke. It increases as we go into the day tomorrow. By tomorrow morning, most of the state has some some amount of surface level wildfire smoke with us, and it will get more dense into tomorrow afternoon and evening, and then start to clear out really late Sunday night into Monday morning. But here's a look at the air quality forecast. So it looks like going into this evening, that's where we'll start to see the air quality deteriorating down to the unhealthy for sensitive groups range. But in the Dalles, it's going to deteriorate really quickly. Through the gorge, it should move into the very unhealthy range potentially today. And then tomorrow, it looks like Portland will range between unhealthy to potentially at times the very unhealthy category. So unfortunately, air quality is going to be a big issue here. LeGrand also seeing unhealthy air quality, or at least is forecasted to. Salem briefly. The coast will get a little bit of relief from that. It will drop down to maybe moderate or unhealthy for sensitive groups, but the air quality at the coast not going to be nearly as bad. But through tomorrow, we do expect poor air quality here in the Portland area. We might issue a first alert weather day for tomorrow because of that air quality. We'll decide that tonight. We're really going to watch as this smoke moves in, the impacts that it has going into this evening, and then whether we think that will continue into tomorrow. Should clear out for Monday, though. Much cooler to start the week, and then we'll warm up by the end of next week, again, back to those upper 80s. Owen.
Drew, thanks. It's good to see you, and it looks like it's just going to be a little yucky out for a few days.
Unfortunately.
All right, everyone, stick with us here. When we come back, for the first time, we're going to have in the studio Brenda Kita from Home Building Foundation. They've got an upcoming event, a trap shooting event that's a charitable event as well. We're going to let you know why they're having that event, what it's all about, and how you might be able to help as well. We'll be back with that in just a couple minutes, so don't go anywhere.
Outdoor GPS is brought to you by P-Line, because we fish, by CCA Oregon, fish focused, member driven, and by Hawken Fishing, perfection in fishing gear.